It is book
Deep.
Really profound. In his book Life the Movie, Neil Gabler has written, American culture has now become a place in which, quote, serious literature, serious political debates, serious ideas, serious anything is more likely to be compromised or marginalized than ever before, end quote. Is our culture requiring that we get rid of anything that has content, anything that requires meditation, evaluation, and exploration?
Yeah, I think when we joked about Rod's iPod, I'm being somewhat facetious because, if you live in a technological age where everything is at your fingertips, if you don't know anything, all you need to do is Wikipedia it. There's just a sense, I don't need to know anything. I don't need to be educated. Some little gadget someplace is going to have the information, so why do I need to know that?
David Wells, whom we interviewed in our last broadcast, in his book, The Courage to be Protestant, quotes William Donnelly's The Confetti Generation. Donnelly says that we're without any external center from which to take our bearings, and so life's experiences become like confetti. These experiences, a concert, a bank robbery, political defeats, congressional scandals, terrorist threats, the stock market performance, interest rates, all of them are separate, disconnected things that fall into our lives in a random way. There's no way to make sense of the whole picture. We can't make an evaluation of it that is sweeping enough to take everything into account so that we know what's true and what's not, what's important and what's not, what's right and what's not. Ours is now a chaotic, centerless universe. We have no map, and even if we did, we couldn't get our bearings. Confetti generation. Don't you see that in the political campaigns and in the regular religious campaigns that you see in American Protestantism?
It's not only in pop culture. It's not only in the political campaign. It's in the church. It's everywhere. It's all pervasive.
In education.
Yeah, well, in fact, this is a quote from the St. Louis Dispatch. Front page article, Middle Schools Stand Out, August 1st, 2008. School officials say middle schools aren't cold, instruction-driven places. Be glad to know they're not cold instruction. We'll have none of that book learning here in school.
Yeah, and you and I get to read their essays.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Adults may recall their middle school experience as clumsy and painful. While hormones haven't changed, the system embracing those students has, with more districts having switched to a middle school model focused on nurturing young adolescents through an awkward time. Quote, I look at them and I tell them, you are the center of your universe right now, said Mary Ann Goldberg, principal of Wydown Middle School. We are orbiting around you to help you. If you think it's all about you, it's all about you, end quote. I am struck by the statistics. I came across one from the Wall Street Journal not that long ago that pointed out that in international scores, Americans scored toward the bottom on a whole host of subjects.
And thought they did the best.
At the top
in self-esteem.
In thinking that they performed well.
Yeah.
And Koreans, for example, South Koreans performed at the top and yet thought that they did most poorly in their performance. That is sort of where our culture of self-esteem is. Doesn't the dumbing of America have a lot to do with narcissism? You saw it in those clips from those songs.
Absolutely.
That it is inextricable. The ignorance is bliss is inextricable from I am the center of my universe. I don't need any boundaries. I just want to have fun. It's all about me and what I can get out of things right now.
Well, and let's be real honest, too. In popular culture, that all about me, I just want to have fun, is aiming toward the sexual experience. All of that whole pop culture genre spinning around Madonna and all those other, it's all about sexual gratification. That's what this culture lives for. It just is.
And Wells also pointed out when he cited Immanuel Kant about the autonomous self as defined by the Enlightenment, that we are cut loose from all authority outside of self, any tradition, religions, etc. And I think what's being seen in the pop culture is that sort of autonomy. So, in fact, even in the songs that we listen to, I think two extremes are being presented here. Call for it in a more nuanced way from Sheryl Crow and the Black Eyed Peas being cut off from any authority outside of self. Whereas, I'm not sure about Madonna, but certainly in the Mac Dre and one of the other songs, the call was to be cut loose from anything that would inhibit you from, as you mentioned, the party. So I think both of those things are being included here. The idea that you're not bound by any authority outside of self, and then also that you're not physically restricted, which then would go to, as you mentioned, Kim, the sexual thing.
So what if kids say, you know what, if I'm the center of the universe, I don't really know how the alphabet relates relevantly to my life.
Or the multiplication tables.
The multiplication tables. And then, surprise, surprise, the same people eventually come to church and say, well, you show me how the doctrine of the Trinity is going to make me feel better today, or I'm not.
But the immediate connection is that the whole idea of the multiplication table, it's binding. So set yourself free from that. That's, again, being stupid. And when you come to church, the whole idea of doctrinal precision, that's binding. You need to be set free from that sort of thing. That liturgy is binding.
Just last week, I think it was a fellow at Oxford who said, we should just give up on insisting on spelling correctly.
Grief. This line from Ms. Goldberg, the principal of the middle school in question, we are orbiting around you to help you. If you think it's all about you, it's all about you. Mike, as you pointed out, Joel Osteen says that every Sunday.
Yeah.
Or something just like it.
Absolutely. Yep. You're listening to The White Horse Inn, and we're getting stupid, or at least talking about it. And we'll be back after this break. Stay with us. Folks, my new book, Christless Christianity, The Alternative Gospel of the American Church, will be officially released on October 31st, and we want to get this book in as many people's hands as possible. So for the entire month of October, you can pre-order a copy for half off the regular price. A 4-part lecture is also available on DVD, and you can watch a preview of this right now at ChristlessChristianity.org. That's one word, ChristlessChristianity.org. I'll also be doing a live web chat hosted by the Washington Post. Again, the web address is ChristlessChristianity.org. Welcome back to the White Horse Inn as we're discussing a strange new cultural phenomenon, the pursuit of stupidity. In 1925, J. Gresham Machen really saw the connection between modernity in the church and modernity in the culture, and in fact was the primary witness against
state-sponsored
the institution of the State Board of Education. And Machen and the president of Johns Hopkins were on the let's not have a board of education. And during that whole debate in Congress, Machen said, this new child-centered notion of education seems to involve emancipation from a vast amount of drudgery. It used to be thought necessary to do some hard work at school. When a textbook was given to a class, it was expected that the contents of the textbook should be mastered. But now all that has been changed. Storing up facts in the mind was a long and painful process, and it is indeed comforting to know that we can do without it. Away with all drudgery and all hard work. Self-expression has taken their place. A great discovery has been made, the discovery that it is possible to think with a completely empty mind.
Yeah, great stuff.
Wow.
Great stuff.
And that's as true in the church as it is in the culture.
Yeah.
Now, how important is it for Christianity, in comparison with, say, Buddhism, Hinduism, other religions, how important is it for Christianity that we have people we're talking to, both in the church and in a culture we're trying to bring to a saving knowledge of Christ, who believe that it's important to think?
Christianity is a revealed religion. God speaks to us in propositions.
Yes.
Sentences with subjects and verbs and objects. That's how God communicates to us.
And it's no wonder that especially the Apostle Paul in the New Testament, one of the ways that he describes our fallen nature is by us having a darkened understanding.
Right. And the Berean Christians get praised in the book of Acts for checking with the Scriptures to see if what Paul was preaching was sound or not.
Well, and Paul's lament about paganism, given over to the kinds of things that are shameful to be done, and even in secret, given over to every form of sensuality. You know, that whole get stupid motif is just, it's Gentile paganism in the New Testament.
And we think of sanctification as, well, if you just find the right techniques, principles, spiritual disciplines. Paul says no. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Instead of it being conformed to this culture's way of thinking, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. The teachings of Scripture will reorient you to see things in a different way and to live differently in the world.